Anybody out there can give me just kind of audio check. Make sure they can hear me. Just wanted to make sure I'm not just going out to nobody. Because any questions at all, I'll probably have a better chance of answering it if it's something technology related, Bible related. I'll at least give it a stab. See if I can answer it. Can't guarantee that I will have a good answer because I don't know everything. Gotta get things set up. See what we can do. Anybody want to come out and join? Hey, Slugabed, I think is what it's how you pronounce that. Is out there watching on you now. If you can hear me, Slugabed, just give me a shout out. Let me know that you can hear me because I need an audio check. Just want to make sure that it's going out clear because I'm just not sure whether it is. Yes, thank you, Slugabed. Helps me a lot. You got any questions? I'm good with technology, Bible, really anything, within reason. Yeah, I got a professional, semi-professional setup. I've gotten into the podcasting world, and so I wanted to get something that would give me some good audio quality. Really, you said the sound cuts off. I don't know what's up with this. Trying to reuse some old stuff. Does the sound any better? Let's see if I can get this. Is that sound any better there out there, Slugabed? Just want to make sure everything's sounding good. Let me try something. See if that sounds any better. Better? Not so better. I want to make sure you have. I think at least it's showing us coming through, so I think it's coming through. Looks like it's just me again. Just me. But yeah, so we're going to get started here in just like a minute or two. If you caught this, I'm just going to throw some things out here just so you know. This is kind of the pre-show of Pete's Tech Den. we kind of explore. I just wondering, maybe it's something over here. See if that sounds better? Whoa, that looks a lot better. I think I might have had a cable loose. That might have been the problem, because it's, whoa, I mean, it's sounding, looks like it's off the charts a lot better. Oh, I think I found my problem. The cable into the back of my mixer that I have over here was obviously not seated properly. Caused the problem. It's showing a lot better. So, somebody out there wants to give me an audio check. I don't know whether I'm too loud or not loud enough. But yeah, if you can just let me know, that would be great. So I work on getting everything set up here. Just want to give a shout out to Slugabed for helping me work on that. Yeah, I think I'm definitely getting some better volume here. I think I found my problem. Awesome. Yeah, that was great. It's always great when you get some help. Help is always fun. Anyone out there wants to? If you're asking any kind of questions out on YouTube, I haven't pulled up the YouTube chat area, so give me a minute to answer those if you got those out there. Just know that there's a reason why I haven't gotten to you yet. I'm just working on pulling up. Yeah, still live out there. Don't show any viewers. Stream out there is still okay. No comments. Okay, good. I didn't miss anything. Okay, now I just have to tell my iPad not to lock. That way I can pull up. Where are you? There you are. Pull up the Mixlr chat room. We're getting ready to go live on Mixlr. If you want to come out. If you do come out, if you do listen to it on Mixlr, I'm just kind of interested because a lot of what we do, there's definitely episodes out there where there's, audio is going to be less. It's not going to be as much. It's not going to be as beneficial because I'm showing you things on the screen, and so if you can't see those things, then it's just not going to work as much. But yeah, so I think we're ready to go live on Mixlr. Got you live on YouTube and then also I'm gonna see if that. I don't know if let's see if that helps any with YouTube. Just kicking it down a notch. But yeah, so you can join us out. There's a chat room up there. I've got that up on a screen up here. And then YouTube, I can see the comments there. Also Mixlr, if you have a Mixlr account, you can join us there and pop over there and join the chat room there. I've got that down here on my iPad, so I can kind of monitor all three of these. Eventually, I feel like I really want to get to the point where I can kind of just get one kind of like unified chat room, and be that where have that where I kind of tell everybody to go. It looks like we got another person out on you now joining us. Not sure who it is. Just says a new person is watching. Well, now they're gone. Now I have the audience of one. And I'm pretty sure that one is me, unless there's somebody else out there. Because I feel like that's how it tracks. But yeah, you should. But for this week, this week, schedule, series. Friday. So yeah. So then next week we have a Friday. Once I figure that out, then I'll post when the show is going to be next week. Or you can always catch it recorded on YouTube, or you can catch the audio up at Mixler. Or I mean, always go out to the website petestechden.wordpress.com, and you catch the show there. I feel like maybe I did, but I'm not positive. I feel like I did. No, I did not. Okay, I can't update that because I can't get into it yet right now. Problems. Okay. Well, so live page isn't updated for this week. I'll get it updated for next week. So right now you can YouTube. That was a big. put up his hand and he goes a little bit. Um, but yeah, because on you now it's hashtag ask_questions PTD, the abbreviation of the show name. Pretty much everywhere else it's just Pete's. Just look for Pete's Tech Den. You'll find it. But you have to put it in um, secondarily, right before you push. I mean, you push the record button, and then it asks, "Oh, can you give us what you want your title to be?" And you're like, "Come on, just let me do this." Okay, so we got YouTube rolling. No comments there. Got you now, and then now we got Mixler going. There, just kicked, and I gotta turn volume off on that. Okay, doke. So let's get off and rolling. This is Pete's Tech Den, show number 22, recorded June 20th, 2015. Here we talk about reusing old tech in new ways, taking what a lot of people see as trash, just get it recycled and turning it around and seeing the potential and turning it into, our treasure. And then just in general, looking at ways to do cool tech stuff on the cheap. And then also occasionally we'll dive into some ethical issues that technology presents, both in we've done some on the development, like developing technology, like how far can we take technology, to ones about like communicating, how do we communicate through technology, specifically looking like in the business area, to things like to like how do we interact online, or sometimes we kind of interact. We kind of interact in ways that we wouldn't normally do, where we feel more. People will feel more free to just go off on somebody online where they wouldn't do that if they were in person, kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of what we talk about. I think that's what we normally talk about. Tonight we're going to look at some networking stuff and talking through, I guess it's just looking at like kind of talk through some of the networking stuff I've explored, and just things that we can do, like in the maybe some of it's gonna be like actual settings that you can do to kind of improve, and then also like looking at things to look for, like when you're buying things. I mean, as part of it is when part of doing tech on the cheap is knowing what's important when you're going out and buying stuff, and so that you don't buy, like not buying something and then you get it back at your home and then it either doesn't work as well as you would have liked, or sometimes you don't buy a feature knowing that you don't go and get a feature, a specific piece of equipment with the feature that would greatly improve your network and getting internet to your device, with without, because you don't know that it's going to benefit you a whole lot. But yeah, so we're going to kind of dive in, go for it, and see where tonight takes us. If anybody has a question while we're kind of doing the show, feel free to shoot it out. Either comments, comment section on YouTube, pop up to you now, or Mixler. Though kind of the three chat areas where you can shoot out any kind of questions you have. But yeah, so basically I'm gonna look at Ethernet and Wi-Fi, and then kind of combination scenarios. With Ethernet, kind of a couple of things, like, I mean, Ethernet is obviously going to be, in most cases, are going to be faster, more dependable than Wi-Fi, because you're not having to transmit it wirelessly. Although some of the wireless technology is getting pretty good. I have to say, but we'll talk about some of that in later. So Ethernet is basically, I mean, think about it like running, you're running cables. I mean, probably most of you guys out there are probably not going to run a lot of Ethernet in your house. So I think we're just going to briefly hit a few things, and then we'll move on to Wi-Fi, which I think could probably be more applicable to a wider range, wider audience, more of you. So kind of with Ethernet, there's like, if you're buying cables, if you're buying, you want to make sure you're buying like Cat 6 or Cat 6 is, I mean, it kind of depends on what you, Cat 5e is probably, it's going to be like good enough. If you get Cat 6, then it kind of future-proofs you, I guess, way. It's going to be good for a while. But really, yeah, Cat 5e is fine, or Cat 6. If you're buying switches, one thing to look at when you're buying switches is like, you can buy switches that are managed or unmanaged. The unmanaged ones are going to be cheaper. If you're going to be running a bunch, you're going to have a bunch, you're going to have like a big, you're going to run a bunch of Ethernet. The managed ones can be better, because it kind of, when you use the unmanaged ones, it kind of has to kind of go through and just hit each one when it's like, they have to be like constantly asking. They have to kind of constantly be going, hey, do I have anything? Do I have anything? Do I have anything? Which, I mean, if you had someone do that to you, annoying, But it can cause the network to be a little bit slower. If you have a managed one, then it can it knows like what it knows what IP address goes to what port. And so it's able to, it doesn't have to do that. It just knows, okay, we got something for this one, send it here. And so if you're just doing a few, unmanaged switches are fine. If you're doing kind of bigger, more, then you may want to get a managed switch. It'll just be a little bit more expensive, but I mean, you can find some pretty good deals buying them used. I know I picked up a used one with a bunch of other stuff for a really, really good deal. The other thing with Ethernet, kind of interesting. I actually have one. I haven't gotten it working yet. You can actually these power line adapters where you basically you have this kind of like a little box that you plug into your like an electrical outlet, and then you plug an Ethernet into it, and then you can use another power line adapter and you plug it into. It has to be plugged into another outlet on the same circuit, and then you can bring the Ethernet out. And so sometimes it could be good, like if you're not where you could basically run your Ethernet in a way through the wall without having to actually physically run an Ethernet through the wall. Oh, what just happened? Okay, there it's back. You now just like blinked out. I don't know what was going on. But those it's be tricky and kind of need to know like how your circuits are laid out in your house, and so they can be a little bit trickier. So you kind of have to be careful. Not careful. You kind of have to maybe do some research into how where it would work. And then some of them can have lower speeds or higher speeds. You have to pay attention when you're buying them. It's fairly simple. I feel like Wi-Fi, on the other hand, is tons of stuff. So I think we're just gonna jump ahead and dive into that. Wi-Fi, there's a bunch of things to look into. It's there's bands that you can have Wi-Fi that's in 2.4 gigahertz band, and then a 5 gigahertz band. And the big thing with this is like with 2.4, there's a lot of stuff that operates in that band. A lot of things that you wouldn't think about. I mean, there's a lot of like wireless mice, wireless keyboards, wireless controllers, microwaves. I know it's like all in 2.4, but can get away from that and get into the 5 gigahertz band, which most devices are compatible with. I know I have a 2012 MacBook Pro here. My iPad, the original iPad Mini, is also compatible. I know like Xbox One, I'm pretty sure the Xbox, I'm not sure about the Xbox 360. but if you can get into that band, it's does better at longer ranges, and then it's also it's not dealing with all the interference, and so it can be more dependable, night and day faster. I know I switched over from the 2.4. I was doing speed tests on that using the speedtest.net, and I was doing it on 2.4, and then I moved over to 5 and did the same speed test. And my speed test on 5 gigahertz was like 4. About as it's almost as fast. Super fast. Now, when you go looking for routers, a lot of times it kind of flows in the next idea of the different standards of Wi-Fi, where you have like you've had you know, most recently there's been N, and then they've just come out with AC. You can get it. There's a few. I've seen a few routers out there where you can get the dual band on the wireless N routers, which N is going to be compatible with pretty much any device, pretty much. Because a lot of times if you buy like a wireless N one, it's usually compatible back to G and B. So those, for the most part, those are just strictly 2.4. There are a few out there that I've seen one or two out there just recently that have the dual band. That's the key thing, because they pretty much always, they're either going to be only 2.4 or they're going to have both, and then you can basically create and do basically 2 different networks, which is kind of nice, because you can still have that 2.4 there, which is going to handle those devices that can't handle the 5. But then your 5 ones, you can connect to the 5 gigahertz one and get the benefit of that speed and dependability. And so you can get some dual band if you look. You got to really look for in the wireless N, or you can go up to the newest standard, which is the wireless AC, which pretty much always has dual band. Or if you get into some of the super expensive ones, which obviously probably not going to, with where you can actually get triple band, where it basically has one 2.4 gigahertz band, and then it runs to 5 gigahertz. I know I picked up it's a pretty basic wireless AC one, dual band. It's a Netgear R6100. I picked it up off of eBay, used for $40. And for that speed, that's if I had to do over again, I didn't realize just how big a difference that 5 gigahertz would make a difference. But it's really nice because it's super fast. But so buying that cheap wireless AC router, I mean, it's not a top of the line. It's probably a generation old in the way of technology, because there's faster. That's one thing you'll notice. They'll usually list like you can get up to whatever speed, and it's usually a combination of the speed that you can get on the 2.4 band, and then also on the 5 band. And I think mine is it's like 300 on the. They say 300. on, on the 2.4. I've never gotten 300 on the 2.4. So they're kind of theoretical speeds. Or on the 5 gigahertz, I think mine is at like an 860 something at the theoretical speed. I have about I've got about 100 down on my internet. I was getting about 20 on the 2.4, and then I went to the 5 gigahertz, and then I was getting like 90. So it's like, yeah, just a wee bit of a difference. And so, even if you're not, if you need that speed for internally, so if you don't have super fast internet, from your provider, maybe it doesn't make as much of a difference. Although you can still get those speeds kind of internally on your network. It could help maximize what you're getting from your internet provider. But yeah, like I said, I've seen a few people pop in here. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them out. Because I'll give it a shot, try to answer it. But that's kind of the standards, the bands. Another part of it, which I think we talked about, we talked a little bit about it when we talked about like the PF Sense, and like the Sophos and into Untangled. Was security for your Wi-Fi. We talked about second episode of the PF Sense. We talked about setting up the Radius server and then being able to do the WPA2 enterprise authentication. But yeah, when it comes to security, like on your router, there's things you can do to help you secure it. I mean, one of them, simple one, is when you first set up your router, change the admin login password away from the standard password, because it's just that way. If somebody does break into your Wi-Fi network, they won't automatically know. They won't automatically know what your password is to the admin console on your router. But yeah, any questions? Networking, I see we did have somebody new out there, but the other thing is, when it comes to just basic security that you get with your basic router, and you're pretty much going to get, for most of them, you're going to get two options, where you can kind of do one. I think you have to do one. You're pretty much going to have to put a password on it. One thing with the password is to make sure you put WPA2, not WPA, because WPA or WEP authentication, that kind of encryption has pretty much been broken, and it's not really that good anymore. So you want to make sure you're at least doing WPA2, setting up that password. Another thing you can do MAC address authentication, but in some ways it kind of it kind of provides a layer of, oh, I think I'm a little bit more secure, where it's not maybe the most secure, because it's really easy to pick up, kind of pick up somebody's MAC address, um, especially off of like a phone, especially because people can have these, like, you can get these like devices that just are kind of sniffing for what kind of wireless signals are out there, and so they can pick up, your MAC address, network name, that kind of stuff, pretty easily. And so it's like, while it's secure ish, it's not really that much more secure. I mean, I have to say, I did do MAC address authentication. I guess part of my, it's called disillusionment with it, is that, well, like any cheapo router that you buy can spoof a MAC address. I mean, it gives you the option in the settings in the admin console to say, do I want to use the MAC address that the device came with, or do I want to just enter one in and use a different one? And so it's, because of that, it's fairly easy to spoof your, to spoof the MAC address. And so there's that, and then there's like, it gets really tiresome. I'm telling you. I mean, I had to do this at work. I mean, where everybody has to come in and put in their, you have to get their MAC address, and you have to, usually want to keep a record of it, and then you have to put it in, and I feel like even on the routers, it can be even, okay, you have to log into the admin console, and then you have to click to go one page, and then to another page, and then you enter in your MAC address, and then you hit OK, save, and you wait for it to save. And so, I don't know, I feel like it's a hassle. It's I want my security to be secure, but then I also want it to be easy to use. I don't want like the way I have security set up to become such a hassle to me that I kind of just skip it, and then it becomes useless because I'm not using it. And so some of that can, just, get in the way of how secure you make your network. But yeah, so that's kind of why I made the switch over to enterprise authentication, because makes it super easy. I can just pop in, set up an account with a username and password. I can set up with Radius Server. I can with a PSense, which I think does a great. I feel like it took me a little while to get it figured out and get it set up and everything, but once it's set up, works great. Does a great job of it. Because you can just create an account, give it a username, password. You set up how many devices do you want them to be able to have on the network at one time, and then that person is off and running. They can just type it in, boom, and they're done. I mean, it makes it just super easy, especially for like guest over. You set up a guest account, you say expire at this date, and then if they ever come back, you just reactivate the account, set a new expiration date, and you're off and running. It's super simple, and because of you set a limit to how many devices they can have on it at one time. That kind of, it provides a layer of security, because you kind of set it based on how many devices they have, and so then if all their devices are connected, then someone else isn't going to be able to connect. because they already have hit their quota. And so it kind of, I guess, it kind of provides a little bit of security on that side. I mean, you can do the enterprise and MAC address authentication. I just don't think the MAC address really adds enough. And I feel like it adds a lot more hassle than it's worth. That's my opinion. Some of you, I know I've seen this, and some of the podcasts I've listened to have a big enough house where one router was cover the entire house, or maybe you want to push wireless out into your backyard, and your router isn't powerful. I can't even talk right now, but your router is not powerful enough to do that. So there's ways to expand by either. They basically have your two. You have you have repeaters, or you have wireless access points. Are basically the two that you have. I guess the nice thing about repeaters is that you just set up a device, and it's just picking up the existing wireless signal. So it's this guy. It's like it's kind of like a computer. Like it catches your wireless signal so that it has has internet, and then it rebroadcasts it and as a new wireless signal. And you can either say, you can either set it up as just a straight, where it's acting as if it's the same network, so it unifies it all, or you can catch it and then rebroadcast it as a new wireless network. I know I picked up. I think it's actually. Look. I actually picked up this guy, which just this little TP-Link wireless N nano router. It's for like a travel router, so it's just super small. You can power it off of either USB or up through a wall plug, which it has that capabilities of doing that. The idea of that one is to being able to take it with you, like on a trip, and like you have a hotel that has Ethernet but no Wi-Fi. Then you can basically set up your own wireless network. But the nice thing about repeaters is that it's just catching the wireless signal, so they're completely wireless. The thing with access points, which is actually how I have my router set up, because my pfSense is handling all the router tasks. All the router responsibilities are being handled by my pfSense. So I just need my wireless router to just be an access point. And so the thing with the access point is that you have to run Ethernet to it. So you have to get the Ethernet there to it, and then it broadcasts a wireless signal. So that's, if you just want, if you're putting something permanent in, then maybe that works. Or like for me, I wanted to run Ethernet out to my Myth TV box, because I didn't want it, because it's a desktop, so it doesn't have wireless. And so I figured, you run it out there, and it's like, well, I can just drop my wireless router in there, set it up as an access point, and then run Ethernet out from the back of it down to my computer, which is the nice thing about using routers as access points, is because then you can do like wireless bridges and stuff like that. We'll be talking about it in just a minute. Because then you can use the wireless capabilities, but then you can also bring those extra Ethernet ports, and so it's kind of like combining your wireless access point with a switch in that location, which can be kind of nice. Which is exactly what I did there, because I use as my access point, and then it runs out from there to my TV, and then also to my computer, which is just super, super nice there to be able to do that. And sometimes with the access points, the other kind of beneficial thing is you can actually get ones that are PoE, which is power over Ethernet. It basically allows you to combine bringing the internet signal via the Ethernet and the power both through that Ethernet plug. So then you don't have to worry about an outlet being nearby. So you can just plug it in and it powers it up, everything. But if you're going to do that, you either need a PoE switch, or which can be more expensive, or they'll be more expensive than a regular router, or via a power injector, which basically then you put that in you basically, like, say you're coming out of your router, you take it out of your router, you plug the Ethernet into the injector. There's also a power cable that plugs in, which you plug into a power outlet, which you need that, and then you bring it out of the injector, and then whatever that Ethernet goes to, that's going to be where the PoE is. So that can be nice if you don't have power near where you want your wireless access point is, where your wireless access point is going to be, which can be nice. It can be really nice because it can help, especially if you're wanting to put something that broadcasts out to the account to the backyard or something like that. That's kind of the benefit of the access point, is if you can do that. With the repeaters, you're not going to be able to do that for the most part. That's repeaters, access points, and then there's some ways to do like combination things where you're kind of mixing Ethernet and wireless with things called wireless bridges. But you can kind of do that with this guy again, because you can actually set it up to be it'll catch a wireless signal with its wireless antennas, and then it'll feed the internet back out through the Ethernet. So I can actually take this and plug the Ethernet into a computer and configure it so that this guy would be my wireless antenna to connect to whatever Wi-Fi. You can also do cool things like that, especially if you can find. Occasionally, you'll find it in some of the higher end routers, especially if you get into the AC. Because I know, mine, which is kind of a lower end on the AC, has it. Or if the router, sometimes they'll say in the description whether it's compatible with. This gets a little bit more complicated with it's DDW-WRT, which is basically you can kind of flash. You can basically install a new operating system on your router, which is open source, and it gives it a lot more functionality than a lot of times the out of the box software does. But you can set up these wireless bridges, which like I'm using one to hook my TV antenna to the network through my HD home run. Sorry. But basically what you can do with a router that has all the Ethernet ports on the back, like, it's usually got like 5, is you could hook in, those Ethernet ports out to, say, hook them out to 5 desktops. And then now that one wireless router becomes basically the wireless antenna for those 5 desktops. And so sometimes maybe that's an option that you explore when you can't actually run Ethernet to it. Because it allows you to run those Ethernet devices through Wi-Fi. You can also get kind of like mix them up, and you can get wireless repeater bridge, where it's rebroadcasting the wireless signal, and then it's also allowing you to connect Ethernet devices. So it's kind of a combination of the two. But yeah, basically to the end of my notes. The show may be a little bit shorter than. I'm trying to see if there's anybody out there. Any questions? Trying to think through any like tips or tricks, kind of in. Because basically getting the wireless signal from. Let's quick run through. Getting an internet signal to your device. It's you basically have you have your modem router. Because basically your modem interacts with your internet service provider, and it communicates with them and gets your external address, and then it basically just passes that on to. But it's usually coming in, allows you to. They bring the internet on either cable, usually, or DSL, and so it allows it to take that and turn it into your Ethernet signal, and it passes that on to your router. It's pretty simple. And then your router kind of has that external address, and then it has its own, says, hey, this is what my internal address is. And so one, it allows them to kind of repeat addresses, so you don't, because there's only so many IP addresses you can create. Think about it, because you basically have, you have 3 sets of. Is it 3? No, it's 4. It's 4 sets of a possibility of 3 numbers. Yeah, 3 sets of 3 numbers. No, 4 sets. And so it allows them to reuse those, because there's only so many of them. And then also it allows your router to stand there as a wall of security. between the outside, all the junk on the outside that there is. I guess, I mean, that's another thing. I guess thinking about security is making sure that you have the firewall on your router set up. And then kind of, making sure that it's blocking things. That might be we might cover that in a later, at a later date. Trying to think if there's any questions. Any questions? I feel like I just kind of rushed through all this stuff. Like, I guess the thing with this episode, some of the other, we've had episodes where we're exploring more like technology and stuff. I feel like the last couple have been just thinking through how you like last week was thinking through how your computers, setting up your computer, building a computer. Where this one is thinking through the different parts of your network. I mean, particularly you want to think through things like security, because you want to be secure. I mean, for the most part, hackers are probably not going to come after you, because basically, the value of what they would get from kind of, I guess, creating a breach in your network isn't going to be a whole lot compared to, hitting, higher profile targets like companies and stuff like that. They're going to have a lot of data. And so in that sense, it's kind of security by obscurity. It's kind of the phrase I've heard it described as, you're obscure. So I guess take like, yeah, that's great. But at the same time, you kind of want to set up some security, because you want to make sure that people aren't just, because I mean, if you don't set up any security, then you have people that maybe just log onto your Wi-Fi and just use it, kind of moochers, I guess you call. But and if you have those, then you're gonna have then it's gonna slow down the network for you. If you have all your neighbors from the either side just using your Wi-Fi, then it's gonna slow down your network a lot. And so, I mean, that's one. I mean, you have to kind of want to deal with that. I was going to say something else. I just slipped my mind. Oh, yeah. The other thing with security on the Wi-Fi, just completely forgot about this. Hey, it looks like we got somebody on you now. If you got any questions regarding, technology or like networking, having any kind of problems on with your the network, your internet network setup, just shoot them out in the comments, and I'll see if I can answer them. Hey, you've got a couple people. Gotchi? I'm not great at pronouncing names. You have any questions? Any technology related questions? Feel free to throw them out in the chat room, and they're gone. not wanting to stick around, I guess. But one thing with securing your Wi-Fi is you can. Another thing you can do is you can tell basically have your name of your wireless network, which is called SSID. I forget what it stands for. I would guess it's something identity. But you can tell it to either broadcast it, which basically means if somebody pulls up their device and they click to their Wi-Fi, and it just shows a list of all the wireless networks that are broadcasting their ID, and if you're broadcasting, then it's going to show up anybody in that area that kind of anyone in your area is going to be able to see, hey, there's a network called this name. One thing you kind of do to, it's going to kind of keep out the basically not like hackers, kind of not your neighbors, I guess you could call it. Then it'll keep out those kind of those non-hackers is you can say don't broadcast it. And then if you go to like connect to it, then it's not going to show up in those lists. You're going to have to it's usually like join other networks or add another network or something like that. And usually the option is like it'll list all the specific ones that are there, and then the last thing it'll do is it'll be like a join other networks, create another network, those kind of things. So fairly simple there. And if you do that, then it'll kind of keep out those people that would normally. Plus, it just kind of helps your network to prevent less of a target, because it's just if they're not initially seeing it, they're probably going to go after somebody else's. It's kind of that security by obscurity. The more obscure you make yourself, a lot of times it's referred to as like shrinking your attack surface, kind of like making it harder for them. The harder you make it for them, the less likely they are to come after you. Especially for hackers and stuff, you're not going to have a whole lot of valuable data for them. So it kind of shrinks their desire to come after you. So if you make it hard, then they're not going to want to. But I think that's it. I think we're done for the night. I think hopefully this gives you some kind of food for thought to kind of think through and process things. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me at pdenner@outlook.com. Any kind of technology questions, I'll see what I can do to help you out. Or you can pop out to you always pop out to petestech10.wordpress.com. All the past episodes you can find them there, or you can find them on YouTube. You can find like the last few out on Mixler. You can also find my contact information and stuff. The Facebook page, you can always post out there. As always, if you do listen to it like Mixler for like the audio only, I'm curious to think, is it worthwhile to put it out via audio, or should I just stick video only? But yeah, that's my thought. But yeah, I think we're just gonna wrap it up. I just go forth, save money, and do cool things with tech. Until next week, save money. Okay, I may do a little post show. That's one thing. Okay, most the kind of the shows I watch, they kind of have this like, I guess, phrase. They have like kind of like a catchphrase that they end the show with. Like this one Apple podcast I listen to, Open Mic Night. You can find it over on OMN podcast.com. You can. He has a show with Tech On. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. Any suggestions on kind of that catchphrase to end the show with? Just throw it. Shoot me an email. I'd be interested because I'm not. I haven't found that phrase yet. Thus, I don't. I feel like I kind of get to the end and it's like I like kind of throw out something. But yeah, so I think we're gonna call it a night. Oh, I just wanted to throw out. Just was last week. I started listening to this other podcast because I kind of had. I watch Open Mic Night, which is my kind of Apple podcast. I watch Home Gadget Geeks. It's a great podcast. Listen to. That's kind of just like a general tech show. I listen to Surfix Geeks, which is kind of it's more Windows focused. There's Home Server Show, probably by the same guy, does Surface Geeks, which is a kind of more homes. It's more, servers kind of on the home side. I kind of like to listen to Cyber Frontiers, which gets a little more technical, more enterprise focused. And now I've added this other one I like to listen to. Found kind of interesting. Linux Action Show. It's kind of nice because they kind of I get that Linux side, which they've had some cool stuff on there, which I think could have some cool applications. And so we may kind of get some ideas. They've been sparking my imagination on things. Because I kind of hear things from them that hadn't really been thinking about, and kind of like bring some new kind of cool technology stuff to my brain. But yeah, so see you next week. Now we're going to take down. Okay, we're going to start with Mixler. Okay, stop in Mixler. Yes. Okay, pushing that up. Okay. You now is going to come down next, I guess. Okay, now we'll bring down YouTube last. See you next week.